The 27th regular meeting of the Medford City Council will come to order. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Council Camuso. Present. Council Caviello. Present. Council Knight. Present. Vice President Longo-Kern. Present. Council Marks. Present. Council Penta. Present. President Del Russo.
Present, with 7 present, none absent. Please rise to salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Motions, orders, and resolutions. 15-644, offered by Vice President Longo-Kern. Be it resolved that the City of Medford purchase the AquaHawk system and install it within the near future. The system would be applied to individual water meters as an individual meter leak detection system. This purchase and installation would relieve ratepayers from having to pay substantial sums due to leaks they were unaware of. Be it further resolved that the City Council hold a committee meeting to discuss a detection system to monitor leaks within our waterline infrastructure. Past leaks within our infrastructure have cost the ratepayer a substantial amount of money, and we need to work to avoid this problem. Madam Vice President.
Thank you, President Del Russo. I put this on the agenda, and it's probably actually long overdue. I know that we've had people at the podium who've come up, who've had leaks in their homes, who've been upset and had to displace a large amount of money when a leak probably could have been prevented, or they could have been notified of such a leak. We field complaints all the time with regards to, the water and sewer rates, and also, people that have leaks. And recently I've got a couple complaints, and it's unfortunate, but it's a city's policy that the Water and Sewer Commission cannot abate for leaks. I spoke to somebody on the Water and Sewer Commission, and he blankly stated that at times it breaks his heart when he has a family or, people who come in and cannot afford, they didn't know about the leak, they get a $1,000 bill because of a leak, and they can't afford it. Now, we as a council years ago voted for the new meters, which we believed at the time would have a leak detection system, and if somebody was running a leak or ran a leak and had gone on vacation, they'd be notified, somehow be contacted and told that they have a leak. We don't currently have that in place. I know the Water and Sewer Commission has discussed it with regards to residential homes, and there is something called the AquaHawk system, which can be used, and it's placed on individual water meters within the community. I think for the price, it's less than $25,000 to install throughout our whole community, but that would save our individual ratepayers that happen to have a leak here and there a large amount of money. It will alleviate the pain that they go through, that some individual family would go through or is going through now, a great amount of money. I actually, the engineer from a surrounding community, I won't say it specifically, but the city engineer from a surrounding community, actually, this happened to her recently, and she's very educated on the subject, and it really got my mind, going. She really enlightened me to a number of things, and that got me talking to Dominic Camara and the Water and Sewer Commission, and this is something that needs to be really looked into and implemented within the city of Medford. This is actually for individual residences. Now, the larger system, would obviously be more money, so we definitely need to sit down and have a committee meeting on it, be educated by the Water and Sewer Commission from what they know of it, the city engineer's office. It would alleviate the problem with regards to the leaks we have in the miles of pipes we have throughout our city. I know it's not a sexy issue, but we had a leak a couple years ago, and one of those water lines was leaking 1 million gallons a day until we caught it. The MWRA had detection systems that were able to catch that. But if the city had something in place, we'd be able to catch these leaks within our own infrastructure much faster than we can catch them now, saving the taxpayer and the ratepayer a tremendous amount of money down the line. So I think it's an important issue, and I think especially the residential portion of it is important, and it's something that should be implemented as soon as possible. I'm not sure if the administration is in discussions with it, but I know the Water and Sewer Commission is, and I hope to send a paper and make it clear to our new mayor in January that this is something that needs to be implemented to alleviate ratepayers' concerns and anybody who suffers from anything that so happens to be a leak within their home. It's definitely some of the stories I've been hearing and the stories we've heard over the years through complaints and concerns they're heartbreaking. And if somebody's used to a $200 a quarter and they get a bill for $1,000 plus or $700, or some of the stories $800 that I've been hearing, that could be resolved with the simple AquaHawk system. I think it's something we need to implement.
Thank you very much for that important measure, Madam Vice President. May I take this opportunity to point out that the unfortunate thing of all of this is that the system we have in place now was sold to us with the point of having this capability built into it. It's unfortunate we have to have this discussion now. Councilor Camuso.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, and I'd like to commend Councilwoman Lungo-Kern for bringing this up. I do believe it's long overdue. When this program first went into inception, a gentleman by the name of Don Ouellette at the time said that we would have similar software to detect leaks, and also that unnamed city engineer from a surrounding community who brings a wealth of knowledge to our community as a resident. I want to commend her and thank her as well. With that being said, I support this wholeheartedly, and I think this is something that can't wait, because just over the past few weeks, I know two people, one in particular with a water bill that went up about $1,000 in the water bill because of a leak in the lawn sprinkler irrigation system. It just kept going, going, and going. So I do support this wholeheartedly, and once again, I'd like to thank Councilwoman Lungo-Kern for bringing this up.
Thank you, Councilor Camuso. So on the motion for Councilor Marks.
Thank you, Mr. President. And I too would like to thank Councilor Lungo-Kern. As was mentioned, this potential system would be a cost savings for anyone that potentially has a leak in their home, and something that I believe the city should be the watchdog, alerting people that there could be a potential issue within your home. We have people that go away for months on end to Florida or wherever else, and I think it's only appropriate that if, God forbid, something happened internally in your house, that the city would be able to get a contact number and reach out and say, we see a spike in your water over this period of time. And I think that is only appropriate that we offer this. It was also mentioned by Councilor Lungo that we have the capability currently to install this, and we were sold a bill of goods back some years ago that the system we were putting in did have this software, and for whatever reason it never came to fruition. But currently right now, unaccounted for water, which every water and sewer ratepayer pays for, is roughly 20%. So 20% of our total water and sewer bill as a community is unaccounted for. Now, part of that unaccounted for water is the city-owned municipal buildings and the school buildings. And according to Dominic Camara, the chairman of the Water and Sewer Commission, he believes about 10% of the unaccounted for water is through city-owned buildings. So that means roughly about 10% is water that we're actually losing through old pipes, through leaks that are being undetected, and we're talking millions of dollars over a course of several years that the ratepayers are paying for water that we're not using. And this is a small amount to pay to add that peace of mind for people, so you get a phone call saying, hey, possibly you have a leak, or possibly we noticed there's a spike. The system, the way I understand it, will kick out exception reports. So it'll monitor your property for a period of time, and then over time it's going to tell, well, your water spikes Thursday night at a particular time, and you may know a reason. I do my laundry every Thursday night, so I know there's a spike, and I know that reason. Or it'll tell you, we've noticed throughout the course of the week that there's been a spike over last week, and then you know there's possibly a leak somewhere within your home if nothing's happening. So I want to thank Council Longo-Kern on this. This is long overdue, and I believe as a council we should be sending a message to the Water and Sewer Commission as well as the administration that we need this, and anything that we can do to save the ratepayers. Water and sewer someday will be higher than your property tax. Anything we can do to save the ratepayers some money, I think the city is obligated to do so, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Councilor. Councilor Penta.
The unfortunate part about talking about this here tonight, there is really no need to talk about it because we have about $7.5 million in our water and sewer surplus enterprise account. That's what the money is used for, whether it's this program here that's $25,000 or the program that was originally offered at approximately $100,000 would have identified, as Council Marks just alluded to, every single house on a particular day, a particular night, a particular time, and the individual person who was having that water loss would be identified. Now, unfortunately, we have these new water meters, as we all know, for those of you that live in the city, and if you're renters and ratepayers, you'll understand that when they say that they have a policy not to give any abatements to someone who has a leak, that just doesn't sound right, because why should they not give an abatement to someone who's having a leak through no fault of their own? But is it through no fault of their own? It's probably the city's fault. They knew this was happening, they saw it coming, and they didn't do anything about it. I went to 2 meetings this past spring with the Water and Sewer Commission to address this. But it has to have the support of the administration to spend this money to do it. And again, I thank my council colleague, Councilor Longo-Kern, for bringing this forward. But, I mean, and hopefully the council votes 7-0 for it. But it's the city administration that has to grant this issue of going forward to have this detection program in sight. So hopefully all of you who voted for it and support it, it's a beneficial asset to not only this community, but just saving water too. Whether it's 20% or whatever the amount is that's unaccounted for, you're paying for it one way or the other. And it's not coming out of every single home. It's not even coming out of the homes that have these leaks. And the city in and of itself has its own leak problem beside the water that the city uses for its particular purposes for which you, the taxpayer, are being charged. So I would like to have, just to bump this up one more degree, and not only support it, but have a meeting, call for a meeting, Mr. President, with the Board of Water and Sewer Commissioners for the purposes of going forward with this and any other proposal that might be necessary to finally resolve this problem once and for all.
On the motion of Vice President Longo-Kern as amended by Councilors Camuso and Penta. We have one more.
Mr. President, thank you very much, and I will be brief. I know we have a packed house tonight this evening. Councilor Longo, I appreciate you putting this resolution forward. I certainly think it's a good idea in theory. I'm wondering if there are any other type of systems other than the Aquahawk system that might be out there, whether or not this is the best system for us to utilize, whether or not this is the one that we're going to get the most bang for our buck. I also do question the fact it was $25,000. Is that the correct figure, $25,000?
Less than $25,000.
Less than $25,000 per individual household. Is that correct? It would be per individual household? For the citywide?
No, for citywide.
Citywide,
the whole city.
okay. That changes things a little bit for me then. I'm doing the math and I'm saying it's going to be quite an expensive endeavor if it's $25,000 per household in the city. Mr. President, with that being said, I have no problem supporting the endeavor. You know, $25,000 for infrastructure, it seems like a drop in the bucket to me, especially with the rewards that we'll receive on the other end of the investment. So I wholeheartedly support it and move for approval.
Thank you very much.
As
So on that
amended.
motion, Madam Vice President.
Just to further amend it, if we're going to ask for a meeting with the Water and Sewer Commissioners, that we also invite the city engineer who may have some input as to this.
Absolutely.
And to answer Councilor Knight's questions, the Aquahawk is recommended by the Water and Sewer Commission. But we can research and see if there's any systems out there. It's just they've already done some major research and know what they want and said this would cost less than $25,000. So I think we just need to move forward and start our discussion with regards to the full infrastructure detection system. But with regards to the residences, I can't bear to, have another resident call me with regards to asking me to help them with an abatement when I know they will never get an abatement. And it's a really sad situation. I don't want it to happen to another family. So if we can move on that portion more quickly. And I agree, we should be taking the money out of the Water and Sewer Enterprise account. That's what the money's there for. There are millions of dollars in that account. So I believe less than $25,000 would go a huge way to alleviating the problem.
Awesome. On that motion, all those in favor? Roll call has been requested. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Council Caruso. Yes. Council Caviola. Yes. Council Knight. Yes. Vice President Longo Kern.
Yes.
Council Marks. Yes. Council Penta.
Yes.
President Dela Russo.
Yes, on the vote of 7 in the affirmative, none negative, the motion passes. 15-645, offered by Vice President Longo Kern. Be it resolved, the City Council announces that the Granara-Skerry Walk Run will be held on Saturday, September 26, 2015, at the American Legion. Madam Vice President.
Thank you, President Dela Russo. I know there's a number of things going on in the community every Saturday, every Sunday, but this is one that's been going on for many years. It's the Granara-Skerry Walk Run. It starts at 10 o'clock. It's at the American Legion. It goes to a great cause, and hopefully they always draw a great crowd, but hopefully they draw an excellent crowd on Saturday. It's supposed to be a beautiful day, so I wanted to specifically announce this and hope that there's a great deal of attendance.
Thank you, Councilor. On the motion of Councilor Longo Kern, all those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries. 15-646, offered by Vice President Longo Kern. Be it resolved that Republic Parking respond to requests for appeals within a reasonable amount of time, such as less than 30 days, as the 3-month waiting period that is taking place now is unreasonable. Madam Vice President, the floor is yours.
Thank you, President Dela Russo. I've got 3 or 4 complaints with regards to the time Republic Parking is taking to respond to a request for appeal. And the last gentleman that I had spoken to, I've been dealing with him back and forth, and he finally let me know that on the 89th day, he got a response that his parking appeal was being denied. There must be some sort of writing that they have to respond within 3 months, yet I believe they told the city they'd be responding much faster than that. So it leaves people wondering, second guessing, I'm sure calling Republic Parking over and over again to ask, what's going on with their appeal. I have another one that was from July 20th. This woman is appealing, and she still has not got a response, so that's 2 months. I know this is, when one other person called Republic Parking, they said the person who deals with appeals is the one that's actually doing the ticketing, so maybe they don't have enough time to do these appeals. So I just feel that Republic Parking is not, the lack of response is really not a great way to do business. Obviously, we have issues with the parking program as it stands with regards to everything, but this is just one additional thing that has caught my attention within the last
Point
few
of
weeks.
information, Councilor Marks.
Of information. Did you mention that the person that gave out the ticket is also responsible for doing the appeals?
Yes, the gentleman who said he got his response within 89 days said he called the office and they told him, sorry, maybe the delay is the fact that the person handing out the tickets is the one that's supposed to handle the appeals. I think with regards to this response time, I know it's still in City Hall with regards to Diane McLeod is the actual hearing officer, but to even get a response, this woman from July 20th hasn't even got an answer. She appealed it on the 25th of July. Nothing. She's got nothing in the mail, nothing, no phone call, nobody telling her when her hearing will be, when she should appear at City Hall, nothing. And this other gentleman got it on day 89. 1 day short of 3 months, so I'm assuming it's 89 days. I think that's unreasonable. I think it's ridiculous. I think it just, obviously the parking program's leaving a bad taste in people's mouths, but this is, everything you hear is just making it worse and worse. So I would just ask that Republic Parking, whether they need to hire somebody else or revamp their system of the way they're dealing with things, this is one of the many issues that needs to be addressed.
Thank you, Madam Vice President. Councilor Caraviello.
Thank you, Mr. President. I agree with Councilor Longo. She was lucky to get through on the telephone. I had made several phone calls, and I got, sorry that the voicemail box is all full. And after like 3 hours of trying to get through, I actually drove down there to see somebody, and she was told that, you know, they're kind of short-staffed. And I said, well, it's not really our problem that you can't do this. But I agree, you know, 30 days is more than enough time to do an appeal. And if anything after that, you throw then they should throw the appeal out and give the people their money back. Let's see, if they don't want to hire more people to work, the people who get tickets shouldn't have to suffer. So I said I'd make a motion that we send it on to them that maximum time for an appeal is 30 days, and if you can't respond within 30 days, then the ticket gets thrown out.
So as amended, motion by Councilor Longo Kern, as amended by Councilor Caraviello. Councilor Knight.
Mr. President, thank you very much. I certainly, too, would agree that a 30-day window is far too excessive. If you don't pay a ticket within 3 weeks, they're hitting you with a fine. So what's good for the goose should be good for the gander, Mr. President. I think it's important for this council to amend the paper this evening, and I'm going to make a motion to do such, where we request a report and statistical analysis of the appeals process from start to finish, how long it takes on average. I'd also like to see a number of appeals filed, as well as the number of outstanding appeals, Mr. President.
Number of appeals filed and number of outstanding appeals, Councilor?
Yes, sir. Yes. And then it might make sense, based upon some of the information that's been shared with us this evening, to get an organizational chart, Mr. President, as well, so we know who's in charge of what and who's doing what.
So we can see that on an organizational chart. I'm making sure that the clerk has that amendment down correctly. Your point of information, Councilor Penta.
So, Nick, I don't think we need that for what you're asking, because we've been asking for a monthly report that would include that for what you have. We've only got one monthly report so far. So if you don't mind, can we just up it to say we'd like to have an up-to-date report on everything: tickets, citations, amount received, appeals pending, tickets that have been waived, and tickets that have been given out, because that's what basically the report gave us before. So rather than extrapolate it out of 1 or 2 issues, why don't we just ask for the complete report that we've normally been getting, we should be getting, that we've asked for?
We can ask for that as well, but I'd like to see it in this format as well. I'd like to take a look and see how long it takes from start to finish.
Very good. So when Councilor has the floor, he can make that amendment.
Okay.
I understand where you're coming from, Councilor. I certainly appreciate it. However, I'd like to see this data and this information for some personal analysis. But with that being said, I rest my case, Mr. President. I'd like to amend the paper as noted, and I would move for approval.
So on the motion of Councilor Longo Kern, as amended by Councilors Caraviello and Councilor Knight, Councilor Camuso.
Thank you, and once again, I want to thank Councilwoman Longo Kern for bringing this up. I do think it's unacceptable, the time frame. As Councilor Knight alluded to, if you don't pay the ticket within 28 days, they start adding on fees and everything else. To not have at least a hearing and go through the due process within a reasonable period of time, it definitely is a major issue. I do know that this week, several people I've talked to, and I actually have one, I'll bring it next week, but received their decisions via email. They're actually emailing the decisions to people to be environmentally friendly or probably to save money, I'm sure, where it's the company. But people did get their adjudication notices this week. Some people did. I'm not sure when the appeals actually were made, but be interested to look at that data as well. I think it's probably a good time maybe in the month of October sometime, to have a committee of the whole and just go over the whole program, where it's 10 months into inception and where we're at prior to getting to the winter months, find out what the plan is going to be to make sure that everything is shoveled out in a prudent manner before the first snowstorm comes and hits, and then we're running around trying to figure that out. So I would like to, ask that this be amended to have a committee of the whole meeting towards the middle of October possibly, or anytime in October, next week, whatever, to just go over the whole parking program where we're at, and we can actually dig into all the reports that Councilor Knight just requested. So I do support the councilor wholeheartedly, as well as the amendments.
Thank you. So as amended by Councilor Camuso, Councilor Caraviallo.
Thank you, Mr. No, I was going to ask for the same report that Councilor Penta asked for, a full report.
Very good. Does Councilor Penta wish to ask for that report as an amendment?
Yes.
So on the report requested during his point of information, now is asked as an amendment to the main motion of Councilor Longo-Kern. So on all of that, the motion of Councilor Longo-Kern as amended by several of the councilors. Councilor Camuso?
Yes, I was able to track that back through my emails, actually. It was a violation that was issued, MDC 5482. It was issued on 8/15/2015 at 5:16 in the evening. So that was turned around within a month. So there may be something going on with the specific ones in question. So, but the notice that someone sent to me saying that the adjudication and stuff took place, that is the date that the violation was issued on the ticket in question. So I'm starting to think maybe that's one person that's not doing their job possibly, but we have to investigate it.
Absolutely. We need that report, and we certainly need that committee meeting. So on the motion, Councilor Marks?
Thank you, Mr. President. I thought Councilor Knight brought up a great idea regarding the staffing tree, because if you have staff that's responsible for giving out tickets, which in my opinion is a full-time position, and then also responsible for sending out the hearing notices, which is also a full-time position, I'd like to see what the current staffing is. I think that's a very worthy request, and also see what the hierarchy is within this particular organization.
Absolutely. As amended by Councilor Marks, we now invite the members of the public who are patiently waiting to address the council regarding this particular motion, which is before us. We ask that you state your name and address for the record before you speak. Welcome.
Hi, my name's Chris Capri. I'm at 10 Salem Street, Chris Capri Salon. Well, as you know, I'm here on the same issue. You have to make some amendments on this parking meters. They're not working. I have more frustrated people coming in the salon, and they're all anxious because they're afraid they're going to get a ticket. Now, one of the clients last Saturday, she got 2 tickets on her car. I mean, how many tickets do you give for one car? I don't understand it. No one understands the rules. They have no idea what they're doing. I see them outside fiddling and trying to get the meters to work. One of my clients comes from Peabody every week, and every week she has the same problem. It won't take her money. I mean, there's got to be some adjustments made, and who's going to make them? That's what I want to know. People need more education on it because we don't know what we're doing here. And 2 hours is not enough when you have a salon especially. Or even if you're going out to dinner, you got to worry about running out and moving, physically moving your car. Why do we have to move our car? Isn't everything about money? What's the difference whose car is parked there so long as they're getting paid for it? I don't get it. What can we do about it? I mean, is there a way out of this? That's my question. Is there a way out of this?
Councilor Knight.
Chris, you've been up before the council a number of times on this very same issue, and I think we've had a lot of back and forth and discussion about what options are available to you. Have you gone to the Traffic Commission and all as we've suggested in the past and had brought up any of these concerns with the Traffic Commission who's responsible for setting traffic policy here in Medford?
No.
No.
Because I really don't know who to talk to.
Traffic Commission would probably be a place to start. I think we might have brought that up a couple of other times at other meetings. But I can certainly understand your frustration. I think that, you know, in looking at how we're going to approach the meter system, the program was rolled out bad. There's no question about that. But the program definitely needs to be tweaked. There's no question about that, too. And we've had some successes in that regard. My question is, I guess we have several resolutions right now that are pending before the Traffic Commission that we haven't gotten responses to, Mr. President. So I'd like to ask that we remind the Traffic Commission that we have a couple of outstanding resolutions that need some responses. I'd ask the city clerk to add that as part of the paper.
So on the main motion by Vice President Longo Kern, further amended by Councilor Knight.
But I mean, the Traffic Commission sets the traffic policy in the city of Medford, not the City Council. So, you know, the only way that we can effectuate change is by asking.
Very
Good evening, Jim Spirakis. Good evening, Mr. President.
Hi, Jimmy.
Good evening, everybody. And again, we have to talk about the parking meters. This is very, very, very bad. You know, business very awful. You got to do something about it. A lot of customers, they said, Jimmy, we go to Winchester, we go Arlington. But, and again, I appreciate a lot of customers, they walk, they don't come with the cars no more. From Plaisted Road, Madison, Boston Avenue. Sometimes I feel bad because I got 2 pizzas to carry over to Madison Street. I say, you want to give you a ride? So what I'm going to do, I try to do business. I said, Jimmy, I can't park. We lost the lunch about 35%. Used to, people read the paper, you know, they sit in for 20 minutes. Not anymore. I forgot my phone. I got pictures every day to see the whole part, you know, the front empty. I can bring my phone to give a proof every day. No cars at all. I don't think the meter they makes about $10, $15 a day. I don't think what kind of money, you know, the city's gonna make with these meters. And I don't know, I got a suggestion if you can put it the all-time meters. I don't think anybody with a quarter, I think works better off.
The old meters.
The old meters. This, they don't work at all. For a lot of complaints, every day, every day, every day. We gotta take this serious because I think another 6 months, there are not gonna be any business in this city.
A ghost town.
There are not gonna be any cities and any business. And again, you know, the last quarter I tried to make my taxes because I got a large bill. You know, I own the building also, besides the Jim's Pizza. And I was late to pay my tax. They put it $222. I gotta pay, you know, penalty interest because I'm late. Sometimes my tenant, they bring the payment late. I got a tenant, they don't pay me water for 3 years. What am I gonna do? Now say he'll get out, and then I gotta take me forever to rent my spot. This is very serious, you know. We gotta do something about it. Bring it back to town, you know. It's no business, Mr. Pender.
Mr. President.
Thank you. Yes, Madam Vice President.
Just to answer, I think they're looking for us for a response, and I think, just want to let you know, we've taken some serious votes with regards to the parking. It's gone to, like Councilor Knight said, to the Traffic Commission, and we're trying to get the mayor to listen to us with regards to we've talked about eliminating it, big serious changes that need to be made. Right. I know the Traffic Commission has made some changes, but we've requested 30 minutes free parking. We've asked them to discuss an hour of free parking. We've asked them to eliminate the meters. We just are waiting for a response. Hopefully come January 1st, there's either some major tweaking or another system is put in place to alleviate, to create the turnover, but not create this situation that we're in.
In my opinion, the meters has to remove complete. It's no changes or half an hour, 2 hours. They're not going to work for this city. It's a local people in West Medford, especially. Mm-hmm. All local people, they come go to the bank, they come to me, they go next door to Arthur's Bakery or the tailor. They don't have the people there, they park all day. Or that happens maybe in 15 years, 2 times. some, I see a cars for 6-7 hours, and then I call the police and say, what's going on, 7 hours. And we're having problems.
Thank you. Councilor, Madam Vice President, you're all set?
Yes, thank you.
Councilor Camuso, who has the floor next.
I just wanted to let the residents know, the City of Arlington put out a press release last week. They're going parking kiosks and meters the entire city. Massachusetts Avenue, right now they're in the parking lots and they're actually putting them out on Massachusetts Avenue. They're rolling it out according to the city manager in Arlington. So just as a point of information.
Thank you. Councilor Penta.
This is the city of Medford. This isn't Arlington, Belmont, Winchester, or any other town. This is the city of Medford. And I want to go back to February 3rd of this past year, February 3rd of 2015. Council Marks asked a very important question, because one of the problems that we were having over here was that people would get out of their car, go to the kiosk, put their money in, and by the time they came back, they were getting a ticket because these bounty hunters were there ready to land on you. Well, this past weekend, I observed two particular situations in the far end parking lot here in Medford Square. And they were both one a woman with a child, another one was an elderly lady. Both of them were coming out of wherever they were respectively. They had their tickets in their hand, they were walking toward their cars. Those trucks were waiting right there. One woman was within 1 minute of having that thing expired, or she would have got a ticket, and the other woman was 2 minutes, 1 minute and 2 minutes. And they were right there, ready to go. Council Marks asked the Traffic Commission to give a 15-minute leeway before and after for someone who would park their car, just as just one of the issues, to park their car to go to and from. Now, it doesn't make any sense at all because these folks are out of towners. They don't even come from the city of Medford. They don't even come from Massachusetts. They're only here for one thing, is to make money. And to me, it's anti-business and it's anti-consumer for the citizens of Medford. People keep saying, other cities and towns do this and that. It's good to look and see what other cities and towns do because you can probably land. But Medford has to be unique unto itself. It has to be its own person, so to speak. And if we've had it this way for a long period of time, maybe what we really need to do is to go back and look at the 2009 report for which this mayor commissioned and asked them to report back, and for which this mayor did not heed their advice, which was very simple, to have a traffic enforcement plan with proper signage and enforcement, and see where that took you on a very small scale, slowly but surely. We went from A to Z overnight, just like that. And of course, it's in the dead of winter. But forget the winter because it's come and gone. You've had all your summer months and now you're getting into the early fall. It just isn't getting better. They're just pounding away, these people. And when you think of a business such as this that makes tremendous, they're making hundreds and thousands of dollars, and they operate from 8 in the morning to 6 o'clock at night, and they're not open on Saturday, which is a legitimate business day in the business world of today. And the folks in this community that have to have an appeal, as Councilor Longo just alluded to, they can't even go, because if they're working from Monday through Friday, their appeal process should be able to be taken care of on a Saturday, at least within a month's period of time, at maximum. You do have options. Your options can be a buyout, your options can be to change it, but you can't even consider the idea of tweaking it. Some people want to say, well, we're going to give it out to all our seniors for nothing. Now, if I was Republican, I was looking at that comment, I'd say, wait a minute, it's bad enough you took my 7 to 7 away, you now brought me down 8 to 6. That's 12 hours a week. That's 48 hours a month you're taking away from me. That's profit in my pocket. That's not what the contract says. And even though the city solicitor says that the city of Medford has the right to change the time, and they also have the right to change the rates, I don't think that would fly in the contract, because if you read the contract, it's quite specific as it relates to what you can and cannot do.
1 week we want to get out of the contract because it's broken. This week there's maybe recommendations to do stuff that was well within our right, like giving senior citizens passes where they're exempted. Let's make up our mind. Are we either going to follow the contract or do it within our right of the contract? I so wholeheartedly support giving senior citizens free parking privileges in the city. These people no longer have children in the public schools. These children, the senior citizens of our community have made Medford great the way it is today. So to sit here and go against something that's positive and say that the company, I just feel that I think we have to do what's right by the residents in the city of Medford, not the company. I'm not worried about the company.
I find it ironic, a month before a major election, that candidates now want to give senior citizens free parking on the streets. But a year and a half ago, when they created this program, there was never any mention about that at all. So I find it ironic now, all of a sudden, people want to give out free parking everywhere. And if we want to give out free parking, why did the mayor litter our streets with kiosks? So I'm not quite sure if that argument holds any credibility.
What we're talking about here is a system that's broken. It doesn't work. We're talking about a system that has caused so much anxiety to business folks and to consumers and to our own residents here in the city of Medford. And the fact of the matter is there was no public meetings on this. There was no public hearings on this. Last year, in October, the Medford City Council asked on 3 separate times through resolutions to have these types of meetings with the downtown business areas and to have the chamber included and to have the residents included. And the mayor ignored all of those requests, only to sign the contract, and what you have is what you've got right now. A complete debacle of an operation that has absolutely and serves no purpose here in the city of Medford. Just think about it. I'll leave you with this last thought. We're all talking about the problems, and we're going to sit down and have another meeting, another meeting, and another meeting. This has been going on for well over a year. And because there was no transparency to this whole operation, and because there was no communication back and forth, and because there was no thought process as it relates to what possibly could happen, what can't we do, what should we do, that in and of itself has got to tell you, you can't keep talking about changing a program knowing it doesn't work. If it doesn't work, you do one or two things. You get rid of it and you start all over again. Slowly but surely you have a sense of transparency, and that's the way it should be. So the people of this community who are paying for it understand what's going on. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. Councilor Caruso talked about how Arlington's doing this. But what they're doing is they have purchased meters that give you 15 minutes of free time. When you pull up to the spot, you hit the button and you get 15 minutes of the free time. And then they're going with the meter heads in. But again, maybe it's something that our city looks into going forward as part of the adjustment period.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Camuso.
Also, it's my understanding in talking to the mayor, meters are going to be starting to pop up, the regular old-fashioned meters that Medford Square had back in the 80s within our community. So there's going to be the regular standalone meters that Chris alluded to, where you just throw the quarter in, and those are going to be starting to get sprinkled around the community. The elephant in the room here is twofold, as far as I'm concerned with the parking. To just get out of this parking, it's going to cost us, as of today, $1.1 million. $1.1 million to get out of.
Point of information, Councilor Marks.
I'm glad that Councilor Camuso had a conversation with the mayor about now we're going to see meters throughout the community. Yet again, another item that the mayor never involved the business community, never involved this council, never had a public hearing, and that's the reason why we're in the predicament we're in now, Mr. President.
Mr. President, if I may, the evening that the business owners were at our meeting when this council voted 7-0 to send out the, to negotiate with Republic Parking, it was a 7-0 vote of the Medford City Council that evening, and included in that was kiosks and meters, clearly in there. There was businesses throughout the community that came up that evening and made mention that they would like to have regular meters in front of their stores. I know several in West Medford, several in Medford Square have approached the city, would be interested in having the quarter meters in front of their business because it's the type of business where you're just running in 1 quarter and rather than go to the kiosk. So with that being said, like I said a few minutes ago, to get out of it and wipe this out totally, it's $1.1 million. As of today, 300,000 in estimated receipts.
Point of information, Councilor Penta.
That is absolutely not true, Mr. President, because the total cost of the program to put this in operation was less than $1 million, number one. Number two, they've already taken over $440,000 in net profit from the last report that we got, and the city of Medford only got 32%. So if they got $442,000, we got less than $200,000 out of that so far. There are trade-offs in this particular contract. There have been violations in this contract by both sides. by Republic as well as the City of Medford. And the City of Medford has been equally negligent in not going forward either through the Traffic Commission or through resolutions of this council as it relates to the agreement. And lastly, and most importantly, all this Medford City Council ever did was to allow the mayor to go out and to negotiate with Republic up to a 10-year contract, but at the same time to come back to the council and show us if the City of Medford was going to do it and what the cost factor would be before anything was done. The mayor never did that. He went ahead and signed the contract without coming back to the Medford City Council and explaining both in detail.
Mr. President,
If I can
Counselor,
finish.
if you could.
Unfortunately, I think the council is confused. There's $300,000 that was in our fiscal year budget that we're operating right now, estimated receipts from this parking program. So you take the $800,000 that's amortized for the actual equipment, plus the $300,000 that is in estimated receipts, minus a quarter of the fiscal year. So rather than 1.1 million, it's probably around 1 million, say, to buy it outright right now. To say that the City Council did not support it, we supported it on 2 occasions, 7-0 vote. 7-0 vote, loud and clear, it has to be that. The mayor did have a thing with that it came back to the council. We met in this council office over here before the mayor signed it. I don't know the exact date, but we met in that council office. Some of the people that are in the room this evening were at that meeting, as well as a lot of other businesses throughout the community. The place was jammed. It was packed. We were actually going to move the meeting into the council chamber, but we couldn't because there was another meeting going on in here. So it was a 7-0 vote. It's 7-0 vote.
Point of information, Councilor Penta.
May 20th of 2014, Council Resolution 14472, offered before the City Council. Yes, the Medford City Council did agree to allow the mayor to go forward, but also conditioned upon the fact that he would present himself back with an in-house review as to what the cost would be on September 10th of 2014. We had a committee of the whole meeting over there. And the reason why the committee of the whole meeting took place was, again, to explain that for which took place between May 20th up to September 14th, September 10th. At that meeting, there was 30 to 40 business people at that meeting, and there was a pushback by the mayor because he didn't expect those people to be there. On October 10th, approximately 1 month later, the mayor came back and signed the contract without getting a vote of approval by the Medford City Council.
Thank you.
Those are the records of this city, Mr.
President,
Councilor Musso.
like I said, the records of the Medford City Council don't lie. It was a 7-0 vote. People can pretend they didn't vote for it, did vote for it, whatever. I'm not going to argue anymore about it. It was 7-0. Anyone can go down to the city clerk's office, see the minutes of that particular meeting in question. It was 7-0 vote. It only needed 5 votes. I believe it might have needed 5 or 4. I'm not really sure because it was for up to 10-year contract. 7 years up front, 3 years in the rear if the city decides to renegotiate or up to 3 years. So it was a 7-0 vote. And he mentioned the council resolution numbers. Anyone out there that's watching can go down to the city clerk's office and see the vote of the council was unanimous. So you can't beat the dead horse anymore. It was a 7-0 vote of the Medford City Council. It was actually one of the few times that we're actually all unanimous behind this rail. As we know, we often vote our separate ways, and that was one that everyone supported.
So we have a motion on the floor that has been amended several times, and we're now going to hear from a couple more citizens who wish to speak on this, and then we're going to put this to a vote and move on to the next agenda item. Please state your name and address for the record. Welcome.
My name is Michael Ruggiero. I live on 18 Pembroke Street. The first thing I want to address is a point that Councilor Knight brought up. Many business owners are not able to attend the Traffic Commission meeting because it's during the day, and they are running their businesses. I've had an informal poll. I've had an opportunity to discuss the issue with a variety of different businesses. I have them many on tape. About 80% of the businesses in Medford believe that the parking meters have hurt their business. That's fact. About 10% say it hasn't really hurt, hasn't really helped. The 10% that actually think it's helped their business would have preferred a system of just enforcing what we had. So that's the first point. The hours of the Traffic Commission are not convenient for Jimmy's Pizza. He's making pizza.
Point of information, Councilor Knight.
If I was losing 35% of my business, like Mr. Sparakis mentioned, I'd make time to go to the Traffic Commission. This is my livelihood. This is the way that we provide to put food on our table for our families. If this is having this dramatic of an effect, you better believe I'm making the time to go down there and talk to the Traffic Commission or anybody else that's in charge of making these policy decisions that are going to affect my life in that fashion. So, while the gentleman may feel as though the Traffic Commission structure and the times that they meet aren't necessarily convenient to him, that's a mechanism of the Traffic Commission. And I am sure that with a little outreach and a little communication with the Traffic Commission, they'll be willing to change that, to maybe meet off hours, to maybe meet once a month late at night. But you got to ask the question, Mr. President. Right now, they meet at 2 o'clock once a month. I'm sure if we make the recommendation or we make a request, they will do that at different times and different hours. But keep in mind, if I was losing 35% a month of my business, I'd be the first one down at the Traffic Commission. I think I'd be able to afford to close the doors if, in fact, my business was being affected 35% negative.
With all due respect to the, with all due
respect to talk to them.
Councilor,
I rest my point, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor. Please don't interrupt.
With all due respect to the councilor, the fact that 80% of the businesses in Medford are losing business should be his concern. And he can make an easy recommendation.
Point of information, Councilor Knight.
An informal poll from a gentleman that walked around and knocked on doors isn't statistical analysis.
Point of information as well.
Point of information, Councilor Camuso.
Based upon the reports that we got from the Massachusetts Department of Revenue, as well as recent as a couple months ago, the meals and sales and meals tax is jumped dramatically from last year. So unless the price of meals is double or whatever's going on, that's actual statistical data from the Department of Revenue.
Beyond these 2 points in this perhaps squabbling environment, going to these listening to this conversation about traffic over and over again, I'm reminded about those cartoons with Wile E. Coyote, where you have the coyote chasing Roadrunner and the background keeps changing, but everyone really knows there's no movement. It's just the background keeps swinging around. Ultimately, this problem boils down to the way that we have written our charter. We need to review our charter. Currently, my team is circulating the petition to actually have the charter reviewed, so mysterious contracts cannot be signed in the middle of night without prior approval of the city. Thank you.
Please state your name and address for the record, sir.
Okay,
Welcome.
thank you. Hi, everybody. I'm Jim Bilodeau, Gill Street, Medford. I'd just like to say something about the parking field program. I just want to say something about the field parking, Republic parking program from Tennessee. People getting tickets before operating hours and after operating hours, and on holidays, and also people with handicap parking permits also getting tickets. Businesses is way down wherever the kiosks are, and sometimes using your charge card does not record correctly and you get a ticket from the Republic money thieves. We need an in-house Medford fair parking program. Also, I would like noted in the Medford Transcript newspaper on Thursday, July 23rd, McGovern's hand-picked candidate, she stated that we have no right, listen to this, you can look at it in the paper and it's proof. On the 23rd, she states, we have no right to be here in the city council meeting and talking about the failed kiosk parking program if you are not licensed to practice law in the state of Massachusetts. It's in the paper and she stated that. It's on record. I just want to say that this is the United States of America. We have a constitutional right to this. This is a democracy and we have freedom of speech.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Jimmy.
I want to disagree with Mr. Camuso. I know for a long, long time, and since he was to school across the street, and revenues, I don't think they've gone up in this city. No, I don't believe, and I like to see numbers. I know fact, and I know I spoke about 9 people, businessmen, in Medford. The business was about 18 to 22% down this moment. And I have my son Costa, he's got a friends, Winchester, Arlington, Goodman, okay? The sales, they're going up 8-9% in Winchester. I drive last week, 1:30. It was like a bazaar in downtown Winchester. People in and out the stores. I park for 10 minutes and I look around. And then I come back to West Medford, it was dead, nothing. Only I see 3 cars on the ice cream place, nobody else. Nobody else. No businesses. I go Mr. Avenue to pick up vegetables, Roberto's place. He says to me, Jimmy, how's business? 3 days ago. I says, terrible. He says, Jesus. He says, I don't know if I gotta make it. New owners bought it from, I don't know, a couple of years ago. He says, it's a scary. Business very often. And I don't think the revenue is going up. And again, you have to look very serious because another year, I don't know this city, what's going to happen.
Jimmy, just so you know, the number I'm basing it off of is the revenue that the city of Medford gets back from the Department of Revenue.
I know. I
based
just
upon the sales and meals tax. That's the number that went up significantly. I'm going to get you the numbers.
I can bring, I got it.
Maybe not your business. I'm talking citywide. Okay. I'll get you the numbers. I'll bring them in your store.
What are you talking about? Chrysler?
No. Meals tax.
The cars,
Thank you.
Volkswagen.
I'll bring it into you.
We're talking about, small businesses,
I will bring the numbers into you. I will do that, okay?
Well, I like to see that.
I'll get last year's and this year's.
And I can give you every week, every month, statement for my business. I can bring.
I'm just talking citywide, Jimmy.
Thank you.
There might have been more restaurants that started.
Please state your name and address for the record, sir. Welcome.
Stephen Figalski, 72 Butler Street, Malden. Currently work for the Department of Public Works. Mr. Camuso may be right about the meal tax. But also, is there any kiosks at station landings where most of the restaurants are? Thank you very much.
Thank you. On the motion of Council Lungo Curran, all those in favor? As amended? Several times. All those opposed? Motion carries. Everything up, please. On the motion for suspension of the rules by Vice President Longo Kern, all those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries. Motion to take 15-561 out of order. Petition by Luis Morales, 61 Shore Drive, Somerville, Mass., to address the council on the issues with Chevalier Theater. Is the petitioner present? Mr. Luis Morales. Please state your name and address for the record. Welcome.
Luis Morales, 61 Shore Drive, Somerville, Massachusetts. I was here 2 years ago. I remember some of you because I was kicked out of the Chevalier Theater. And as a product of coming here in front of you guys, I was called 2 days later they called me to let me know that they were gonna continue to rent me the theater. The discussion at that time was that a church could not have a service at the Chevalier Theater. But everything was going so for 2 years, even though I continued to be kind of harassed by John Costas almost every night.
Point of information, Councilor Knight.
I'm looking at the underlying petition here, and what the petitioner has written down versus what's shown up in the agenda are two very different items, Mr. President. And I think that this is something that should be handled a little bit more sensitively than we are at this point in time based upon what I'm seeing here, Mr. President. It's my understanding that in certain instances, if a person's reputation is on the line, that individual does have the right to appear before the council, or they also have the option to meet with an executive session to determine whether or not it's appropriate for the public forum. I think we might need to have an opinion from our city solicitor before we go any further, Mr. President. It's very troubling what I'm reading here on the petition signed September 11, 2015. a very delicate concern that we have about the way a certain individual that's a member of the Hormel State, the Chevalier Stadium, the Chevalier Commission, is treating us at the Chevalier Theater just because we are not white people and we are from a different religion. I think that alone, Mr. President, would warrant us to at least err on the side of caution and allow the city solicitor to give us an opinion as to whether or not this is an appropriate matter for executive session. We have a city employee who's been named by name in a derogatory fashion, and I feel as though if this goes any further, it may be damaging to his reputation. And I also feel as though he should have the right to at least get an opinion from council as to whether or not the appropriate forum to hear this would be here or an executive session, Mr. President.
So in light of that point of order, Councilor, do you have a motion for us?
My motion would be to lay the matter on the table until we can receive an opinion from the solicitor.
So on the motion of Councilor Knight, to lay this matter on the table pending a opinion from the city solicitor, a motion to table a matter is undebatable. So this motion, on the motion of Councilor Knight to table, all those in favor? All those opposed? The motion carries. The matter is now tabled, and the City Council will seek recommendations from the city solicitor on how to proceed on this matter.
The mayor already read
delicate condition has been placed in the petition that could be regarded as a serious charge against someone.
The mayor read that, and he met with me and John Costas. We already had a meeting with the mayor.
The matter is tabled. We can no longer discuss it. On the motion of Councilor Longo-Kern to revert back to the regular order business.
Councilor Knight's comments that this has not been issued with level of sensitivity. I was here 2 years ago. Okay.
We have this. I'm afraid this matter is tabled. So it's been placed on the table, and the rules of the council would prohibit us from continuing this discussion as the matter is tabled. My sincerest apologies. Right.
Well, it's a sad commentary on the way this is being handled, because it's been 2 years now, and sensitivity is really an ironic word for you to use, Adam, because they have nothing but do is bring in lots of revenue to this city, shut themselves in narrow fashion, treat the Chevalier like their own.
Mr. President, if I may. My concern is nothing more than a city employee.
The motion has been tabled. The motion has been tabled.
That's all right.
On the motion of Vice President Longo-Kern to return to the regular order of business, all those in favor?
Mr. President, while we're in the suspension, I just have one announcement, if I could.
Councilor Knight, Marks.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to commend and congratulate Patrick Coughlin. He is a local resident here, and he just graduated from boot camp for the U.S. Marines on September 4th in Parris Island in South Carolina. And Patrick has made his mother and father very proud and has served this community very proud, Mr. President. And I want to wish him well on all his future endeavors.
Semper Fi, Mr. Coughlin.
Absolutely.
Congratulations. On the motion of Councilor Marks, for that, congratulations. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Motion. On the motion of Vice President Longo-Kern to revert back to the regular order of business, all those in favor? All those opposed? Carries. 15-650, offered by Councilor Penta. Be it resolved that the Medford Square bus stops being impacted by the refurbishing of the Craddock Bridge be addressed as major traffic and safety problems are emanating. Councilor Penta will catch our breath for one moment. Maybe my inflection on reading the motion was a little off. Be it resolved that the Medford Square bus stops being impacted by the refurbishing of the Craddock Bridge be addressed as major traffic and safety problems are emanating. Thank you.
Mr. President, this resolution is brought forward because, as we all know, as you traverse through Medford Square, and as of some point in time during this late summer, we've seen construction taking place here in Medford Square as it relates to the Craddock Bridge. or the refurbishing of the Craddock Bridge. Now, we know it's a 121-foot bridge, and we know that we've been told it's going to take approximately 2.5 years to get itself refurbished. The unfortunate part of the 2.5 years is that this is not an everyday, 6-day-a-week project. In any one given week, you may be working 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, for whatever it might be. And unfortunately, in the contract, there's nothing that demands that they have to be there on a daily basis, 6 days a week, working double time as the contract said it would. Number two, we see there is an ongoing traffic congestion and a traffic public safety problem with the buses that are now stopping on Main Street in downtown Medford Square. And since, in fact, there has to be some changes because the sidewalks are going to be getting dug up, the street is going to have to be refurbished over there on the odd side of the street. Something has to give, and what's going to have to give is the public buses that traverse over there, because there is no way that they can make a reasonable public safety stop. My recommendation would be, since the City Council is the only one that can move to change or recommend to change bus stops, is to put those buses all on Medford Square that would stop there, change the direction of River Street instead of coming down and have it go left, so it takes you right back to Salem Street, and then it goes around. I've spoken with many senior citizens from 121 and 99. There is no way that they want to walk down that new ring road, cross under the bridge to go to the bus stop if it's going to be moved over there. That walk, especially in the winter, especially if the inclement weather, snow or raining, it would just put them right out of business, physically, so to speak. So by putting those buses in Main Street, instead of coming and taking the right on Main Street like they do, all they would do would be just going into Medford Square. They would be going to River Street. You'd be opening up the parking spaces on the right-hand side, on the Dainty Donut side, and you would just probably add maybe another 3 to 4 minutes on a bus route, but so be it, because something's going to have to give. So to make sure that everybody's on board with this, so there's an understanding, Mr. President, I'm going to recommend that we have a committee of the whole, so we have a sense of transparency and openness as it relates to not only this particular issue, to let's look at all the ideas that need to be discussed. That would be my recommendation right now, and that's what's speaking from business owners and from people who traverse those bus stops. But again, this needs to be done sooner than later, so I'm going to ask you, Mr. President, within the next 2 weeks, to call for a committee of the whole meeting, and to also call someone from the Department of Transportation, also someone from the MBTA,
yes,
as well as our own Office of Community Development.
And I welcome that, and it's important, but can I, just by way of reminder, point out to you that the biggest obstacle we had when we addressed this the last time was our friends from the Massachusetts Bay Transportation Authority,
right,
who we give an awful lot of money every year.
I think we're either the third or the fourth highest user within its system. And this is one time, if you remember correctly, because I do, because I have my notes, the last time we had this meeting, there was one lady who allegedly stated that she was the only one that was in charge or reviewing these bus stops. They don't make the decision. The Medford City Council makes the decision on bus stops. So with that being said, Mr. President, you know, without being repetitious, and I won't be. And the other sad part about this whole thing, it's already impacting businesses in the downtown Medford Square area. Now, we've been told that there was no mitigation. Mitigation is not an available item, and that's absolutely not true. Because if this bridge is going to eventually put people out of business or put people to the point of going into bankruptcy, then, you know, there is a need to have that whole thought process take place. Even though it's a state contract, the state contract has subcontractors, and the subcontractors have to be held liable. Just like they were on the Fast 14 when they did the bridges a few years ago, the 14 bridges, 14 weeks in a row, and they put them up over a weekend. So without going into that, and the other part I'd like to have, Mr. President, is have our city engineer report back to the council that since in fact they're building that portable bridge that's going to go over, they're pounding into the ground, the structure to hold the bridge and the arch of the bridge going across. What impact, if anything, is that having, you know, on those buildings that abut not only the waterways, but the waterways in and of itself? Don't forget, that bridge has been there for well in excess of 100 years. It's built to solid granite, hasn't sunk an inch. The only thing that's sunk an inch is the downtown Medford Square area. So with that being said, building upon that granite, which the foundation is already there, yes, it's a cost savings. But you've gone from $3 million to up to almost $11.8 million to build a bridge that's 121 feet, and they're telling you it's taken 2.5 years. So if it's taken 2.5 years to build it, and they're not building it each and every day, 6 days a week, double shift days, then that's the reason why it's taken 2.5 years, because these companies, subcontractors and major companies, basically are doing other jobs in probably legitimately so, because there's nothing in the contract that mandates that they do that job each and every day. So with that being said, Mr. President, I'd like to move the question, call for that in 2 weeks, please.
On the motion as amended by Councilor Penta, and we also point out that part of the mitigation plan for construction was ongoing vibration monitoring. Councilor Camuso.
Thank you, Mr. President. And I have to agree with my council colleague. The traffic is starting to get pretty rough down there, especially during the commuting hours, 5 o'clock, early in the morning. The fact of the matter is this is a state Department of Transportation is overseeing this project. I asked for the MBTA to come forward with a solution within the last 3 months or so, I believe it was. We still have not heard back from them on that particular item, but it's obvious that something has to be done because people shouldn't be expected to wait for a bus and be breathing in the debris, whether it's jackhammering and things of that nature. So I think something has to be done, whether it be temporary or a more permanent solution. But definitely something has to give on this particular situation. So if we could have them in to discuss this, and also to discuss some of the express buses that so many Medford residents in this community rely upon to get to work every day into Boston. They're the subject right now of privatization with the MBTA, and I'd like to just get a status on where they're going and if the service is going to be as good, because quite honestly, I think the 326 and the 325 bus operated right now brings tremendous value to our community, and it's on time. It's packed. The express buses are packed every single morning going into Boston. So I'd like to hear their plans. Maybe I'll put that on at a later meeting, a separate issue, because the bridge is more time consuming now. And I do support the councilor. So I'm going to withdraw that at this time, and I'm going to bring it forward in a later motion.
Very good. Councilor Knight.
Councilor Camuso took the words right out of my mouth. As someone who takes the 325 bus quite often, I feel as though it's the only bus I can take that's ever on time. And from what I understand now, there are plans to alter the personnel, privatize the route, and what have you. Although Councilor Camuso was gracious enough to withdraw his amendment, I feel as though if we're going to be bringing MassDOT down here and the MBTA down here, that it's totally appropriate and, quite frankly, necessary that we find out what's going on with these buses as well. And I'm not saying that just because I take it once a week. I'm saying that because when I sit there out my window and I see people get on this bus, like my neighbor Chrissy and her 2 children that get on the bus every day, I have concerns about who's going to be operating these buses, where they're going to actually effectuate this cost savings, whether or not the service levels are still going to remain the same. So, Councilor Camuso, I concur with your opinion that you know, we definitely need to take a look at the express buses. However, I do not concur with your opinion that we can do it later. I think we need to do it now. You know, this is a 2-year construction project that's going on. This privatization effort is going to be happening much sooner than that. So time is of the essence on both matters. I commend Councilor Penta for bringing this issue forward. I too have a number of concerns about the traffic flow patterns in Medford Square, where the bus stops are located. And I think if we're really serious about revitalization of our downtowns, these are some things that we need to look at, Mr. President. So thank you, Councilor Camuso. Thank you, Councilor Penta. Mr. President, I move for approval as amended.
On the motion for approval as amended, all those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries.
Yeah, 2 weeks.
Yes.
Yep. This is going to be another item on the agenda.
We're going to do it within the next couple of weeks. We just got to get all those people on board, which sometimes is a chore, as the clerk will attest. Our next items, 15-652, 653, and there's one under suspension, if we could indulge me, 656, all condolences offered by Councilor Caviello. So we're going to read through them and move them as one. So on 15-652, offered by Councilor Caraviello, be it resolved that the Medford City Council offers condolences to the family of Martin Conserva. Mr. Conserva was the owner of Broadway Piano on Main Street and was active in many community organizations. Mr. Conserva served our country in the Korean War. Offered by Councilor Caraviello, be it resolved that the Medford City Council offer condolences to the family of Wallace Counts on his recent passing. Wally held many positions in the city of Medford, federal government, Commonwealth of Massachusetts, along with several positions with various community organizations. He was a veteran of the Korean War. His presence in our community will be sorely missed. I ask for tonight's meeting to be held in his honor. Finally, offered by Councilor Caraviello, be resolved that Medford City Council offer condolences to the family of Bud Mulcahy on his recent passing. Bud was a World War II veteran and served at the Battle of Iwo Jima. His presence in our community will be missed. So if we could all rise for, did you want to speak? I'm sorry. If you could, I'm sorry, I apologize, Councilor.
Thank you, Mr. President. You know, obviously, all three of these men served our country. Mr. Mulcahy served in Iwo Jima. So, again, three more veterans of our community have passed away in the last couple of weeks.
And all great citizens who committed themselves to our community.
Mr. President, if we could, if the meeting be held in memory of Mr. Counts this evening, I'd appreciate that.
And further recommended that this meeting be held in memory of Mr. Counts. Petitions, presentations, and similar matters. 15-647, petition for reversal of sign denial by Philadelphia sign agent Heather Hopkins Dutko for AC Hotels Marriott, 95 Station Landing, Medford. OCD application 2015-20A exceeds allowable square footage for primary signs. 2015-20D application exceeds number of allowed secondary signs. This went to the chairman of the committee for
signs.
Who's got that?
Penta.
Knight?
Signs or licensing?
Signs. Councilor Marks has signs. The petitioner's presence, please kindly share with us your name and address for the record. Whoop. Sorry.
That's better? Okay. Good evening. My name is Heather Dudko. I'm at 27 Old Meeting House Road in Auburn, Mass. for the record, and I'm representing Philadelphia Sign. And also with me tonight,
Eben Tormey with XSS Hotels, 108 Jones Avenue in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, representing the hotel developer.
So we are before the council tonight. Oh, thank you. AC Hotels Marriott is working with Philadelphia Sign, and they seek approval for 2 wall signs that have been denied by planning and zoning due to nonconformance to the City of Medford zoning ordinance. AC Hotels presented a comprehensive sign application package proposing 6 wall signs on 3 facades of the building. 4 of the signs were approved. However, 2 signs, each on the north elevation, were denied due to nonconformance, and the denials were attached in our application. Sign A, in particular, exceeds the square footage allowed for a primary sign, and sign D exceeds the number allowed for secondary signage. Provided with our brief is an overview of all 6 signs, A through F, proposed, so the council will have a comprehensive view of the total sign package that we presented. Mr. Tormey also has some nice large photo renderings that will give a better view of the proposed signage and the elevations, because our packets were pretty small. AC Hotels feels that the building is in a unique situation due to all 4 sides of the hotel facing either a street or a parking lot, and that's why the number of signs were requested. And there is a need for appropriate sized signage for visibility for fast-moving vehicles and the access roads. Coupled with the fact that this is a new building with large, high facades, we feel the proposed signage is appropriate for the facades they are proposed on. The proposed signage is tastefully designed and will be properly installed and maintained. Approving the signage does not diminish from the intent of the bylaw, which allows for multiple wall signs, and will not pose any public safety issues. By approving the additional 2 wall signs, AC Hotels feels that their new facility will be properly signed, ensuring safe arrival for guests to the hotel, and therefore ensuring the hotel's success in Medford. So we do,
I have a couple of renderings here. This perspective is from Station Landing looking to the southwest. This is the main entrance of the hotel that you can see here. So there is some signage proposed that's within the sign bylaw on the canopy. The larger sign on the upper facade is one of the signs, sign A in question. The other sign in question is on the far side of this rendering. That is facing north, visible to southbound traffic on 28. I also have some renderings of other perspectives of the building. The other signs are located on the west elevation as well as the south elevation, again visible from 28.
Madam Vice President.
Thank you, President Del Russo. So the two that have been denied, the A and the D, are both on that?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
This large sign here and this sign on the right.
And give us, what is that about, what is that facing now? That's facing?
So this is the site plan of the proposed hotel. Here's President's Landing, the Fells Way. So sign, is it D is here, kind of across from the Margaritas.
Facing Margaritas.
Yes,
Okay, that's what I was asking.
and visible to southbound traffic on 28. The larger sign at the entrance is located here more on Station Landing,
Inside.
and it's kind of interior to the development facing the rest of the Station Landing development.
Question,
Thank you.
Mr. President?
Council Penta?
Are any one of those signs, or either one of them interior lit?
Yes, this sign is internally illuminated. The other sign proposed on the right here is non-illuminated, the one that faces Margaritas.
So that's the only one that's going to be interior lit, that high one?
No, this is interior illuminated.
As well as the canopy signage.
Yeah, the sign that's over the canopy, that's internally illuminated. That was approved by right.
I'll say, then the question becomes, on the big AC sign, does that have an 11 o'clock curfew? Like across the street, the, let's say Kelly's Roast Beef. I believe they have an 11 o'clock time, and they changed it to 1 on their time that the interior lit sign stays on. I think you just need to better check, because if we give you that, you're looking for that 24 hours a day to be lit?
Yes,
Okay.
as it is a 24-hour day
Because you're going to
business.
be right next to another company that I believe has a cutoff in its time. So I think before, I think you need to,
Point of information, Council Camuso.
As a city, we're striving to bring in quality business and economic development. To tell a worldwide chain hotel that we can't have their sign lit up all the time, there's no way I can support that. If I supported that, it would be one of the worst votes I've ever taken as a member of the Medford City Council.
Mr. President,
Council Penta?
again, could you put that sign up again? What are you facing?
What
With
does
that
AC
big sign.
stand for?
What's number A facing?
This,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what was it?
What are you facing with that
This
sign?
is facing to the north, 75 Station Landing, the apartment building, the Boston Sports Club. It faces also the parking garage. Oh, yeah.
Well, Mr. President, we need to be consistent if we're going to be consistent with this, and I've got no problem with it. It's just that, you know, there's a like business, you know, right next to you, that I believe at one point in time.
May I just point out at this...
It's open, but I think the sign has to go off by 1 o'clock. Kelly's
Council,
Roast Beef.
Point of
May-
information, Mr. President. Mr. President, point of information. I think this is important.
Councilor Camuso, point of information.
Councilor Penta stated it's a like business. It's not a like business. One's a 24-hour lodging establishment, the other one is a roast beef joint. It's not like business.
The reason for the lighting restriction, if I remember correctly, for the roast beef joint, Kelly's, if you would, was the fact that directly across from it was housing, and there was concern for those condominiums. Councilor Caviello had a point of information.
I did, well, same thing, Mr. President. It's a 24-hour business. It's, you know, they don't, so they operate every day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. So I would think that they would need the illumination 24 hours a day.
Mr. President,
And again, this is a quality organization, and I think we should...
Councilor Penta still has the floor.
Point of clarification.
It's just a point of clarification as it relates to the, you're facing a residential neighborhood, correct?
There is a residential building to the
Right.
north of the hotel,
And
yes.
the business that we're talking about is likewise facing a residential neighborhood. So all I'm saying is, if you've already established a policy or a time, I've got no problem giving it to them 24 hours, But you're going to have to give the other people 24 hours.
I believe the bylaw allows for the sign to be lit during the hours of operation, which would be different for a restaurant or food service establishment, which is limited hours, whereas the hotel is open, as the counselor has pointed out, 24 hours a day.
Mr. President,
We have guests
right over here
checking in at any time.
24 hours.
But point of clarification for the petitioner, we can limit the hours that it's lit. And I see Councilor's point, just because you're going to be facing apartments. So have you done any research on that? Will it go in somebody's bedroom? Or?
We have not done any research in the apartment building. This has been presented a couple of times to residents, open forums of that apartment building, 75 Station Landing, and it was very well received. We did not receive any concern. These same renderings were shown at that meeting. There was no concern about the lighting at those meetings.
I would just put a 6-month review on the lighting.
Councilor Knight's been patiently waiting.
For a 6-month review.
Yeah, Mr. President, Councilor Lungo took the words right out of my mouth. These individuals are here petitioning us to approve a sign that's non-conforming. However, they'd like the sign to be governed under the actual ordinance that's in place for hours of operation. If they need to come back before us for a special permit, so be it at that time. However, in terms of holding up what they're trying to do, they're here under the governing ordinance. They're asking us to approve a non-conforming sign. The size of the sign is what they're asking for us to approve, not anything more, anything less. So with that being said, I don't think it's a bad idea now that we have a motion for a 6-month review from the date of opening. I would like to say that we can approve the sign. If we have problems with the illumination later on, we can review it in 6 months and we can bring that issue to the neighbors, and I'm sure that the developer and the neighbors can work it out. Absolutely. I don't think they're coming to our community to invest millions and millions of dollars in here to make their neighbors upset. So, with that being said, I'd move for approval as amended by Councilor Longo.
Very good. Councilor Camuso.
If I may.
Thank you.
I'm just a little bit disturbed that the comments were made this evening regarding a hotel with the name Marriott on it that's looking to come in our community. We're trying to entice business into this community. We have a hotel right out here that faces 400 units of senior housing developments right behind City Hall here that's illuminated 24 hours. Quite honestly, when the sign ordinance was written by members of the City Council over the last 30 years, it's, I think, getting to the point where it's outdated. When a place like Meadow Glen Mall had to come before us a few years ago to have a sign that was basically comparable just to keep them in business. We got to have a vision moving this city forward, Mr. President. And to say that a 24-hour hotel that we want to see come here, I mean, the hotel is going to generate taxes every single evening, every time a room is occupied. The hotel is going to generate economic development as far as people spending their money at Kelly's Roast Beef, at all the Stations Landing. They're going to be using stuff over in Somerville is going to benefit by it. Medford Square possibly will benefit. This is the vision we need. We need vision to do Medford Square over. And to sit here and to talk about not giving a 24-hour establishment Marriott, I mean, we're lucky that this didn't come up at the beginning of negotiations, because a big company like Marriott may not even entertain coming here if they saw that we would even not entertain a sign. And the sign is not overly bearing on the neighborhood at all. Quite honestly, there's more lighting coming off over here of the Hyatt right out back of our building. So in the interest of economic development and trying to move this city forward, I support this wholeheartedly. And to be honest with you, I'm not going to support the 6-month review because I think it's done very tastefully. I think it's a win-win for this community. So.
Councilor Longo Kern.
Thank you, President Dela Russo. I too am very happy that the Marriott's coming to Medford. I think it's going to be a great addition to the community. I also have been on the council for 14 years, and I know that if there's people that aren't able to sleep due to the level of illumination or the time of illumination, we've heard from a number of residents who have had to come forward and voice their concerns and displeasure of it. So I believe this is a great way to reintroduce the topic if need be in 6 months, whether that's just the level of illumination or, the hours of illumination. It very well may be that nobody complains, this is all well and good, it never comes before the council again, and I assume that is the way it's going to be. But if there's a problem, this is the only way the council can possibly even alleviate it within 6 months.
Very good. The chair now recognizes the chairman of the subcommittee for Business, Economics, Development, and Signs, Councilor Michael J. Marks.
That's a tough act to follow. Mr. President, all the papers appear to be in order, and I agree with Councilor Longo, her statement. We are the appeal process, and every member behind this council has the right to ask questions, whether they believe the signage is too large, whether they believe the illumination is too much, and those are the appropriate questions we should ask, and then we take a vote as a body. So I'm not concerned about any particular questions, because that's what we're here to do. We're here to ask questions. And I see no problem with this. We welcome them into the community. I hope they do well and bring us plenty of tax revenue. Mr. President, I, as chairman of the sign committee, would motion for approval.
Very good. On that motion,
Motion to sever, Mr. President.
Motion to sever.
The amendments, if Councilor Camuso is not willing to support a certain portion of it, so it's going to be contrary. I think we should sever the amendments. I'm sure he's in support of the hotel coming and getting their signage. He's just not in support of the 6-month review.
Very good. So motion to sever on the 6-month review. Councilor Camuso. Oh, I apologize.
I just want to wrap up by saying, you know, we're at a very unique juncture here in our community of either moving forward or moving backwards. We have a big development coming right across the city of the city line. It's going to be known as the Wynn Everett. We want to let businesses like the Marriott know that Medford wants them to come here and negotiate with us in good faith and potentially build something on Mystic Ave or wherever they find a parcel of land that may be good for the community, because it has to be good for the community. But I just don't want to send the wrong message out there and have businesses, because I've heard over the years, over the last 30 years in this community, I want to choose my words correctly and be fair. We have heard that people feel uncomfortable sometimes when they come before some bodies here, particularly the Medford City Council. And I just think that in fairness for economic development views and where we're going with our neighboring community, I think we're at a juncture where we just have to show that we want to move the city forward, whether it be liquor licenses, whether it be hotel establishments, whether it be restaurants. So I just think we're at a great juncture to move the city forward. And quite honestly, I just want to send the right message. And Councilor Knight took the words out of my mouth. I do support the sign naturally, but not the review at this point. It's done tastefully. So if we could just sever it and then move on with the issue.
Very good. Councilor Caraviello.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, Councilor Camuso is correct. Our sign ordinance is over 20 years old now. Again, something that needs to be revisited. I mean, these people we're very happy to have them come into our committee. They shouldn't have had to come up here tonight to have for a rejection when it should have been approved downstairs at the building department, because again, our ordinances are old and some of them are antiquated. I mean, we've changed our liquor laws several times to accommodate the new businesses. I mean, like I talked about the other night at the thing. Our city is getting beat to death with competition from other communities. And we should be welcoming these businesses with open arms, instead of having to come up here again and ask for a denial of a sign that should have been approved from day one.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Penter.
I appreciate the fact that you're here. I support you, but I also understand that your development did not come here because of the city of Medford. Your development came here because of Ted Tye and the business that he has there at Stations Landing. You are the last part of the development of that whole development process over there, that 6-story hotel, because when he came in here, it was going to be in the beginning, but there wasn't a call for it economically. This city of Medford needs to get out there as a unit, as a community, to look for businesses to come in here. They haven't done it for a long period of time. This Medford City Council is equally to blame, because all we do sometimes is talk about it and nothing's been done. There's been no review of the sign ordinances, there's been no review of the taxi cab ordinances, and we can go through all of that. So to get through all of that, you don't want to hear that, because that's not your problem. That's our problem over here. So all I'm telling you is this: you understand that there are rules and regulations, and that's the reason why you got here. And the reason why you're here, rather than going to the Board of Appeals, because it would cost you a hell of a lot of money to go to the Board of Appeals to appeal that, for which you're coming here before the council. That's the reason why the council put this in its sign ordinance many, many years ago, okay?
Understood.
And as a result of that, and I think you understand where we're going with all of this. So there's nothing wrong with a 6-month review. As a matter of fact, it might make you a better and a stronger, have a relationship as to what's going on, because when you can come back here, you can tell us all about the wonderful things you're doing. You know, this city only operates with 1.5 people, 1.5 people out of an Office of Community Development, and I guarantee you never saw them once in your whole proposal, okay? Because the reason we didn't say it, because they just don't have the manpower or the time or the wherewithal to come out there and do it. That's all going to change in January. There's going to be a new administration, and you're going to see a new life come into this community.
Because we do a lot of sign work in Medford. So.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all very much. So on the motion for approval, and we ask, so we take the motion to sever first. We have the motion to sever before us. So on the motion to sever the two amendments, sever the amendment for a 6-month review from the main motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? So on the vote for a 6-month review, roll call's been requested for a 6-month review. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Council Camuso. No. Council Caviello. No. Council Knight. Yes. Vice President Longo Kern.
Yes.
Council Marks.
Yes.
Council Penta. Yes. President Del Russo.
No. Vote of 4 in the negative, 3 in the affirmative. That portion fails. So on the main motion for approval.
It
Yep.
passed.
It passed.
6-month review passed. Yeah.
4-3.
Yeah. Now you get the main motion.
On the main motion to approve. All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations. Sorry for my miscounting. I had a dyslexic moment. 15-648. Petition for common victualer's license by Matteo Ronzio, 420 Stearns Hill Road, Waltham, Massachusetts, 02451. For Italia di Gusto, 24 High Street, Medford. On file, etc., etc. Please state your name and address for the record. Welcome.
Good evening, Mr. President. My name is Matteo Ronzio, and I'm here with my wife. Thank you for coming here. And we are Italia di Gusto is a franchising, is a new franchise, Italian franchising. We are going to try to open the second shop in the US. This is our first shop, but the first shop in the US is in New Jersey. And the business concept is very easy. Our aim is to import some niche products from Italy, so very authentic Italian products, and try to make customer taste these products. And then, if they appreciate and they like it, they can also buy the products and take at home, because there are different kind of Italian products. So, yeah, there is also, so there is a small restaurant and a retail space, and then there is also, in the restaurant, there is a zone for the pizzeria. So we imported also an oven from Italy. And in the team, in the kitchen, we are going to have 2 Italian cooks, so a pizza chef and a cook from Italy. Then I'm not going to cook because I'm not good.
Will you have a brick oven in there too?
Sorry, say again, please.
A brick oven?
Yeah, it's a brick oven, yeah.
Very good. The chair recognizes Councilor Caraviello, Chairman of the Licensing
Thank you, Mr.
Subcommittee.
President. I go by every day, I look in the window, I see the progress you're making, and I say this, I'm happy you're coming here to our community of Medford.
We enjoy very much.
We're the second place in America you've chosen to come. I'm happy you chose America, and I'm glad you chose Medford.
Yeah.
And I'm happy you'd be here, and I find all your papers in order, and I wish you nothing but the best of business here.
Thank you very much.
Very good. So on the motion for approval by Councilor Caraviello, all those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries. Congratulazione.
Grazie. Thank you very much.
15-649, petition for common victualer's license by Ian So,
30 Revere Beach Parkway, number 501, Medford, Mass. for Chicken and Rice Guys, LLC, 64 Salem Street, Medford, Massachusetts. Arroz con pollo. On file, business certificate number 042, etc. Please state your name and address for the record.
My name is Jenny Zhang. My address is 180 Mountain Avenue in Malden, Massachusetts.
Tell us a little bit about your operation.
Okay, this is the second restaurant that we're trying to open in the Boston area. We run food trucks out of a commissary in Malden, and this will be a fast casual takeout type of restaurant. It's actually right across the street here. That's basically it.
Very good. Chair recognizes Councilor Caviello, Chairman of Licensing.
Thank you, Mr. President. Again, another establishment. I'm around Boston. I see your trucks. I see you always get the big lines at your trucks for people buying your products. So, and I say those that all the other trucks there are always in Boston. I see you at the South Station, always with a line. So the food's got to be good if everybody's there. Again, you could have chosen anywhere else. I'm happy you chose here in Medford. Your papers all are in order. Motion for approval, Mr. President.
On the motion approved by Councilor Caviello. All those in favor? Councilor Marks.
If I could, what are your hours of operation?
It's not for this specific store.
Yeah.
It's not set yet, but it's going to be somewhere around 10 or 11 in the morning till 8 or 9 at night.
8 or 9 at night?
Yeah.
And do you ever anticipate having any of your food trucks around the city?
Around Medford?
Yes.
Not anytime in the near future, unless you guys are opening up food truck spots.
Right. Mr. President, I had the opportunity to have the Chicken and Rice Guys in front of Malden Station, and they serve a great product. They give a great portion also, and the food is always fresh, and I think they're going to do very well there. So I wish you well.
Very good. Madam Vice President.
Thank you, President Del Russo. What's your opening date?
Unknown yet, pending construction.
Okay.
Yeah. Hopefully soon in the next month or so.
November?
Month or two, hopefully.
Okay, great. Good luck.
Very good. So on the motion approved by Councilor Caviello, seconded by Vice President Kern. All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Very good. Communications from the mayor, 15-628 was withdrawn. Council. Madam Citizen, would you like to speak?
Good evening,
please,
everyone.
State your name and address for the record, Sharon.
Sharon Giesso, 130 Circuit Road in Medford, Mass. Good evening, everyone. It's good to see you back. I was going to speak on an issue, and then someone brought up bus routing again tonight, but I really think that both are equally important and they're related. Almost a year ago, I came here, and you know the scenario about people falling, et cetera, on the sidewalks. At that time, Councilwoman Luongo had suggested an audit. About 3 months ago, I came forth again because I had heard about more incidents of falling on damaged or broken, weather-beaten, or sidewalks that just had rises in them. And they're all over the city now. There may be a few streets that haven't been harmed too much. But I was just wondering, and that night too, they also suggested that there be an inspection of the sidewalks. Has anything been done yet?
I can't really hear her.
I just think that this is a really important issue, especially in the fall time. Kids are on scooters, they're on bikes, and I know it's going to be not an inexpensive proposition, but I can't believe that in 10 months, I don't know the system and the process, so maybe you could educate me. What happens if something is approved by the council? Does it just go somewhere and then it just disappears, or what happens?
What is that specifically you're asking about?
The audit that was approved to go into effect by the council about 10 months ago, and also again about 3 months ago.
The audit of what?
What happens after that,
Well,
sir?
I maybe can help. If you could remind us of the streets that I remember there was.
Well, one is the sidewalks, right? But what happened now with the 2 requests that you put in? Where does that request go to have an audit on the sidewalk or the inspection?
It goes to the mayor's office.
So, no news yet? Nothing about the conditions or repairs or anything yet?
I think we get a response from the mayor, and he referred it to DPW. So ours is a recommendation, goes to the mayor, he refers it to DPW, and we haven't heard back since.
So,
we need to follow up, Mr. President.
Okay, thank you very much. Secondly, regarding bus routes, that was an important issue. I also feel that they're getting worse and now they're going to get worse because those rivets, if anyone who did take the time to drive around to see them, they're from almost the donut shop all the way down to the CVS, across the street. You saw them, remember we were talking about them? You step off the sidewalk, if it's an older people at night. I helped a woman, she almost fell on her face. They're like this. Now they're in front of even Mr. Veneziano's business. They're on the other side in front of Modern Pastry now. It's the weight and the heat, I believe, of the delivery trucks and the buses. And so someone suggested that night that you need to call the T. Did anyone call the T yet?
Mr. President, I think I put that on the council floor 2 months ago, to have the team come down and look at the rolling hills there in Medford Square, and we never got a response.
I think the nice thing about it is not that we want people to get hurt. The nice thing about addressing it is you can avoid some accidents that will save the city money. And not only that, it's coming winter again, and they're probably going to get worse. So I thank you very much, Mr. Caraviello. I wasn't coming here to criticize. I just wanted to get the status because I know you fellows are busy.
No, I agree with you. Some of them are 5 and 6 inches deep.
Oh, yeah. And now they're all along Salem Street, right going towards in front of the eyeglass shop, you know, Ricky Bazanga and the businessmen down there. I got out of the car just to say hello to him one day, and I went in one, and I said, Rick, this is terrible. He said, tell me about it. I have 2 people, and they don't see well when they come in here. So I said, well, maybe I'll address it. He said, thank you very much.
We could ask a motion to get the update as Councilor Marks asked for.
So on the motion of Councilor Marks, seconded by Councilor Camuso.
And the T has more money than we do, so there you go.
As amended by Councilor Caraviello.
Thanks, Sharon.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. Have a nice
Sharon,
week.
for coming
Bye-bye.
out. Did you want to speak on this matter, ma'am?
Yes. The lighting is very, very bad over there. At night when you're coming down, you can't see, and someone's definitely going to get killed coming over all those bumps and everything. Like if someone's crossing, you won't be able to see them. It's very, very dark. I don't know who drives under there at night.
Whereabouts are you talking?
At the bridge, right, when you're coming off of Main Street to come into Medford Square,
right.
Both areas going both ways.
Okay.
Yes.
But it more so on the coming into Medford Square, that side's more dark, coming under the bridges. It's dangerous.
Right.
Especially with the construction
Send that
that's
to
going on.
DPW too.
So
Send that to the electrical department also?
As amended by Councilor Marks to send to the electrical department. So on that
Mr.
motion,
President,
Councilor
if I may,
Knight?
I do recall us taking a vote for $1.4 million for what was termed the Community Improvement Initiative. And included in that Community Improvement Initiative was $300,000, I believe, for sidewalk and stump repair, as well as energy-efficient lighting change-outs down in Medford Square for brighter and more energy-efficient lighting. Mr. President, if we can get an update on those 2 items.
As amended by Councilor Knight to include an update on the Community Improvement Initiative Program. Councilor Camuso.
Just FYI, the sidewalks, massive sidewalk plan that's been in the works is going to be taken off within the next 2 weeks or so. They're waiting for that second bid to come in and everything. So if you notice, a lot of them are actually getting dug out right now by the DPW.
Yes.
So you'll see them actively doing a lot of sidewalks over the next, till it gets cold out.
Great. Ma'am, do you want to address the council?
No preference to this.
Very good. So on the motion, as amended, as seconded, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes.
Joanne Haney, 123 Placestead Road. I just have a question. Verizon and Comcast are here in Medford. We have a satellite dish. Sometimes I like to watch what's going on in the city council, and we can't get it through satellite. Is there any way that it can come into play?
Ask the
I don't think
question.
the satellite providers are part of the franchise agreement for
Is there
the
such a
city of
thing as a
town,
franchise agreement with the satellite provider?
I don't think
It's
there
all
is,
in the
yeah.
stack.
Yeah.
You'd have to contact your satellite company, satellite provider, to ask if they have the capacity to connect with the local cable companies to provide you broadcast of the city meetings, I would imagine.
I don't know. We have all the channels with satellite, but this is one that I can't get at all.
Mr. President, if I could?
I have every cable channel you can imagine, and there's never anything on TV. Councilor Marks.
That's an exclusive contract we have with the cable provider. And whether they allow the satellite to tap into that, I'm not sure that, but I guess we can ask the question.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Ms. Haney.
While we're under suspension, offered by Councilor Caraviello, be it resolved that the Medford City Council congratulate the Brooks PTO on winning the $20,000 contest at Assembly Row. Councilor Caraviello.
Thank you, Mr. President. As you saw in the paper last week, the Brooks PTO won $20,000 from Assembly Row amongst all the schools that went over there and competed for the amount of points, and our school was the winning school, and I want to commend them for that. And tonight we approved 3 businesses, new businesses. Hopefully next year, 2 years down, we'll be able to have a contest similar to what Assembly Road does to invite other people to come into our city and spend some money, and maybe we can award a prize. Again, I want to congratulate the parents and the kids of the Brooks PTO.
Very good. Councilor Caraviello. On the motion of Councilor Caraviello for congratulations, Councilor Penta.
On that particular motion, Rick, I think you forgot to say that they had to spend $200,000 in Somerville to get that $20,000 to come back to the school. So that's approximately $200,000 that could have been spent here in the city of Medford that didn't find its way here. And so,
well,
unfortunately,
hopefully when we get some new businesses here, we'll be more competitive with the other cities, and we'll have our own contest someday.
Very good. On that motion, all those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries. 15-655, offered by Councilor Caraviello. Be resolved that the Medford City Council offer congratulations to Joe Sacco and Mike Pagliarulo on their recent induction into the National Italian Hall of Fame.
Thank you again, Mr. President. You know, I've known both of these, their parents and them since high school, and watched them play. And again, they're Medford High School graduates, both of them. Couldn't be more proud of our Italian friends in the community. And congratulations to them and their families. Well deserved.
Both classy gentlemen, too.
Yes, very good.
Congratulations on that motion. All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations. Offered by Councilor Knight. Be it resolved that the Medford City Council thank the DPW, and namely the Highway Department, for their prompt response to Resolution 15-611 regarding Winthrop Street at High Street and striping concerns. Councilor Knight.
Mr. President, thank you very much. The resolution in question called for the DPW to restripe the crosswalk at Winthrop Street as well as repaint the 3 handicap parking spots that were out in front of 190 High Street. The resolution was put on the table on August 11th. By August 22nd, all the work was done. In addition to that work, they also did some striping on Rural Ave. Came out pretty nice, looks pretty good, Mr. President, but I want to thank the Highway Department in particular for their fast turnaround on this request.
Very good. On the motion of Councilor Knight, all those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries. And finally, last paper in the hand of the clerk, offered by Councilors Camuso and Caraviello. Be it resolved that the Medford City Council have a moment of silence and send its condolences to the family of John Jack Toomey, former city councilor who passed away recently. So if you would all please stand for a moment of silence. Councilor Marks.
It was about a month and a half ago, a resolution that we have a public hearing regarding the Eversource project that's going to be coming from Winchester down Winthrop Street to South Street, down Mystic Ave, onto, I believe, the Revere and Chelsea area. But it's going to disrupt many of our roadways that have already been dug up and cause congestion in our community. Is there any movement on that Eversource hearing? If you could, it's a major project, and at the very least, residents I'm hearing from would like to have input, in particular the direct abutters on Winthrop Street.
Absolutely, and we need to do it at maybe a meeting in an informal matter, because there was a meeting here before, but I mean, clearly there's a deep concern that citizens didn't feel was adequately addressed on this matter, so the clerk is continuing to work with Eversource to bring that about. And their public relations manager, Billy Zamparelli, is very good to work with. I've spoken to him regarding this matter on several occasions. So we'll pull it together.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilor. So the records, the tabled records of the July 21st, 2015 meeting were passed to Councilor Penta. Councilor, do you have a recommendation on those records?
No. Next week.
We offered to table those until next week. On that motion, all those in favor? All those opposed? Records of the August 11th, 2015 were passed to Councilor Camuso. Councilor Camuso, how did you find those records? On the motion of Councilor Camuso for approval, all those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries. Motion to adjourn by Councilor Marks. All those in favor?